all guns loaded, finger stays off the trigger until I'm ready to fire the gun. Never point muzzle or anything I'm not willing to kill, destroy. Always know what is in front and behind the target every time before you fire it. Always seek out certified, qualified training before you handle, manipulate, or use a firearm. Make sure you learn to do it properly. Now, today, real quick, I've got on my EDC carry, I have on my Glock, extra magazine, and I've got my karambit, of course, got that with me. So, with this weapon, we'll make sure, safe weapon, visually, physically, make sure it's safe, magazine, and secondary magazine. Now, I'm not going to be using these guns, but I just want you to know that I'm trying to be safe about it. I've got another couple of them. I'll make sure they're safe. That I talked about them also. Now, real quick, get on with it. The reason I'm a proponent of carrying things to the front of my body, y'all know this, I'm not into reaching around behind my back. It takes too long because that window of opportunity to defend yourself is so small. It's a lot smaller than what people think it is. It's not like on television where you always see the bad guy coming, you got all the time in the world. So my hands being normally in front of my body all the time, pumping gas, doing whatever. I might even be in a fight and have to use my hands, but from this position, I can still get to my weapon system if I need to. So the point I'm making is you want to set yourself up for the highest degree of success possible. Now, I want to go over a couple of carry methods, concealed carry methods, and I'm kind of seeing what kind of feedback I get on all this stuff, so I kind of get direction, guys. That's all I'm trying to do with this stuff, is get direction, so I need your feedback on things. One method I'm not a big fan of is a ankle holster. The thing about ankle holsters, a lot of people carry semi-automatics, they carry revolvers. This one happens to be a revolver, and so that the weapon cylinder is clear on this weapon. This is a sentimental thing. I've had it back when I was working the road, wearing Class A's every day. But anyways, a lot of people carry them on their ankles. The thing about carrying a gun on your ankle is you have to consider that, talking about that window of time and opportunity. You're having to actually physically kneel down, pull up your pants leg, unsnap the gun, and get it out to deploy it. That can take time you might not have based on your environment or all other factors involved. So you want to consider that. I want to keep that gun where I can get to it quickly and efficiently. Now, all my rules with my firearm, with my handgun applies same way as it would with anything else that I have. Now, they don't hold as many rounds. There are options out there. There's speed loaders. Some of you are familiar with these. Basically, the way these things work, you get the bullet started in the cylinder of the gun. You turn a little knob, and when you turn that knob, what that basically does is release those bullets into the cylinder, and you have the guns in the cylinder. The other one, there's what's called a speed strip. This one I don't have loaded all the way to the end, but you have your bullets would be snapped all the way across through here. And the way this works basically is it's just 2 rounds at a time. You just kind of rip them off, close it up, and you're good to go. It's just another option, something to look at. If you do carry on your ankle, and you're one of those people that absolutely has to, and you're just sold out on it, now I'm not telling you what to do, and I would never try to tell you what to do. I just want to give you suggestions, things to consider. I would carry my revolver, if I'm right-handed, on the inside of my left leg. And the reason I would do that is because, let's say I have to get to that weapon while I'm inside of a car. If I'm inside of a car, I've got the car door is up against here, the console of the car is here, the steering wheel, which is going to ride low in the lap. It's getting to that gun can be an issue. Your arms, you don't have the reach carrying it anywhere other than probably the inside of your left leg. Now, the reason that I'm into that is because if I'm behind the wheel, I can get to that gun inside the ankle better than I could anywhere else. I can get access to it. Then you're thinking about the steering wheel, think about the seat belt. These are things you need to pre-work out and practice doing. For instance, how many times you ever try to get out of the car really quick? You undo the seat belt, you get out, and you hang yourself up in the seat belt. You need to learn some techniques, and we can possibly do some things if you guys want to, we can unsnap our seat belt, sweep the seat belt clear as we come out with our weapon. Also, there's things to consider like bringing the weapon out. Now, if I'm sitting in the car, do I want to flag or do I want to point the muzzle toward very vascular areas of my body as I come around with a gun. So one technique that we teach, and it's just one of many techniques, is to ride the wheel over. So when the gun comes out, I'm going to ride over the steering wheel with my muzzle, and that keeps it in a safe direction. I'm not pointing at me at any time. Another option, and I mentioned this to you guys, you know I'm a fanny pack guy when I'm at the gym working out. And I showed you this little Microtech. The way this thing works, I can still take the magazine out, I can still cycle the slide on this gun, but I don't have access to the trigger, okay? So the trigger's protected, so I can carry around inside this gun ready to go. Now, the concept of this rope, and I can make this little Kydex cover as tight as I want to, as hard as I want it to be to break away. But basically it snaps off and it snaps on. Now, you notice I've got it tied inside of my fanny pack. Now, you can tie that to your belt loop. You can tie it somewhere around your belt, inside your purse or something in a secured area. And the idea is that trigger's protected, so nothing's going to get to that trigger to make that gun go off. But when you do pull the gun out, it's going to come to the end of that rope, and it's going to snap that little cover off and give you access to that trigger. So that's something to consider. It's an option, and that's all this is options that I'm sharing with you. So as I always say, I'm not an expert, but I'll end with this. Throw this in there. Story in the Bible, Jesus puts the disciples in a boat. He tells them to go to the other side. He says, I'm not going with you, but I'll meet you cats over there. So he says, get in the boat and go on over there. Now, they get in the boat, and on the way over there, while they're in the water, they encounter a storm. Now, when they encounter a storm, think about storms as far as storms that we encounter in our lives. Storms can be trouble, trials, tribulations, things that just happen, okay? And there's three basic types of storms. There's storms the devil brings our way. There's storms that we bring on ourselves because of our own actions and misjudgments. And then there's storms that God allows in our lives. Now, those storms God allows in our lives to mold us, to polish us, and to create something even greater in us for the sake of the kingdom, okay? So God allows storms sometimes in our lives for a purpose and a reason, to straighten us out or to make us better. Now, three things to think about this storm, real quick, and I'll be done. Number one, they were in the will of God. Why were they in the will of God when they were in this storm? Because they were in the boat that Jesus told them to get into when they went into the water, okay? They were following the leadership and the guidance of God when they got into that boat and went over there. While following the will of God, they encountered a storm. That's called life, my brother. We're going to encounter storms. So they encounter a storm. Now, so number one, they were in the will of God when they encountered that storm. So just because you're going through something doesn't mean you're a bad, awful person. It could be a process or something wonderful God's doing in your life. Now, God knew they were in the storm. Okay? That's why he went to them when they cried out to him. So God knows where you're at right now. Okay? God's not oblivious to what you're going through, your emotions and what your fears or whatever. He knows you're going through a storm right now in your life. Number three, he will meet you in that storm. If you remember, he came walking on the water and met them in that storm. Peter even cried out to him and said, Lord, if that's really you, then let me get out of this boat and let me walk on this water and go out there where you're at. He says, okay, come on. So he goes. And you know the story, how Peter, he's looking at Jesus, he's walking on the water, and that's a pretty cool thing. And all of a sudden, the storm, he got so wrapped up all over again in the storm, the wind howling, the waves in the water and everything going on. He lost focus of God and began to focus on the storm, and he sank. He cries out, Jesus pulls him back. Now, here's my lesson I want to share with you. And I've had to learn this so many times in my life. I've got to keep my eyes on God when I'm going through the storm. Whatever's happening in your life, just know that it's not always because you're a bad person, but sometimes God's about to do something wonderful in your life, and this storm is the vehicle to get you to that place, okay? So, he'll meet you in the storm. He's aware of that storm. And sometimes storms are God's will for our lives, okay? Just keep your eyes on him. Let him lead, guide, and direct you, and he'll get you through it, okay? And I hope this was a help to you. Let me know what you think about the concealed carry stuff. Any particular thing that you want to go over, let me know, and we'll try to get there. And remember this, before I leave, as always, you're the apple of God's eye.